You wake up because a small glowing object screams beside your head. You do not smell smoke. You do not hear birds. You do not feel the cold moving through the shelter. You do not wait for another person to shake your shoulder. A machine tells your body that the day has begun. Now place an ancient human beside your bed. Not a cartoon caveman, not a stupid ancestor, a real human body, with memory, hunger, fear, skill, family, scars, and a lifetime of reading weather, tracks, faces, fire, and silence. The first thing this person might notice is not your phone. It might be the walls. The room is sealed. The air is still. No insects crawl across the sleeping place. No smoke stings the eyes. No animal sound tells where danger may be moving. No one else is sleeping close enough to hear your breathing. To you, this is privacy. To them, it may feel like being separated from the group. And that is the real question. If an ancient human could walk through one ordinary day in your life, would they think you were living like a god? Or would they think something very strange had happened to the human animal? The obvious answer is easy. They would be amazed. Clean water appears from a metal mouth. Fire hides inside wires. Food waits in a cold box. Light obeys your finger. A soft chair carries your weight. A locked door stands between you and the night. But that answer is too small. Because amazement is only the first reaction. The deeper reaction might come later, when they watch how little you have to notice in order to survive. You walk to the bathroom. A room inside the shelter is built for water, waste, washing, and privacy. To a person from a mobile foraging group, this may be more astonishing than a royal palace. Human waste disappears without being carried away from camp. Water arrives without a walk. Your skin can be cleaned without searching for a stream, warming water, scraping dirt, or worrying about who else needs the same resource. But after the shock, they might ask a practical question. Where is the water coming from? You may not know. You turn a handle. That is enough. For most of human history, water was not a background service. It was a location, a route, a memory, and sometimes a negotiation. You had to know where it was, whether it had changed, whether animals had used it, whether the path was safe, and how much could be carried back. A modern tap does not only save effort, it removes a whole chain of attention. Then you open the refrigerator. Cold air falls out. Food from different seasons sits together. Meat, fruit, milk, sauce, leftovers, and drinks wait in little containers as if time has slowed down for them. An ancient human might stare at this box longer than at your television. Food has always been more than taste. It is labor already spent. It is risk already taken. It is memory stored in muscle and landscape. In many foraging societies studied by anthropologists, food sharing is not just kindness. It is a way of smoothing uncertainty, building relationships, and making sure one bad day does not destroy one person. Kristen Hawkes and other researchers studying hunter-gatherer life have shown how food acquisition, sharing, childcare, and older people's knowledge are tangled together. Living foragers are not frozen versions of the Paleolithic, but they help reveal something important. Food was often social before it was individual. Your refrigerator changes that. It makes food private. It gives each person a personal reserve. It allows tomorrow to sit quietly behind a door. That is powerful. But it is also strange. Because the ancient visitor may see food everywhere, yet see almost no one sharing the search for it. You eat breakfast quickly. Maybe you look at a screen while doing it. Maybe you do not speak. Maybe your food came from a store, a truck, a factory, a farm, a ship, a warehouse, and a barcode scanner before it touched your hand. To you, it is normal. To them, the food chain would look like magic with all the people hidden. Then you leave home. The door locks behind you. That single click may be one of the most important sounds in your day. It means your belongings can remain without your body beside them. It means strangers are not expected to enter. It means your safety is partly held by metal, law, neighbors, police, documents, property systems, and habits of trust between millions of people who will never meet. An ancient human would understand guarding things. They would understand sleeping near people they trusted. They would understand territory, kin, reputation, and the danger of being alone. But a small object in your hand that can close a shelter against the world might feel like a social miracle. And then you step into traffic. This may frighten them more than the refrigerator amazed them. Huge objects move faster than any animal. People cross paths without speaking. Everyone trusts colored lights. A painted line on the ground changes behavior. A stranger in a metal box stops because a red circle told him to. Your world is full of invisible agreements. You do not know the driver. The driver does not know you. Yet both of you obey a system that protects bodies moving at unnatural speed. The ancient visitor may realize something. Modern life is not individual freedom from the group. It is dependence on a much larger group. You reach work. Now comes the strangest part. You sit. You sit while the sun moves. You sit while your hands touch a flat glowing surface. You sit while your eyes travel farther than your feet. Messages arrive from people who are not present. Your attention is hunted by little sounds. Your body remains in one place while your mind jumps through dozens of problems. An ancient human would not think you are lazy. That is too simple. They might think your body is being asked to do something unnatural. Stay still while remaining alert. Daniel Lieberman and other evolutionary researchers have argued that the human body evolved around movement. Load carrying, walking, digging, climbing, throwing, dancing, and resting in patterns very different from modern office life. This does not mean ancient people exercised for health. They moved because life required it. But there is a twist. Herman Poncer and colleagues measured energy expenditure among Hadza hunter-gatherers in Tanzania and found something surprising. Hadza adults had higher physical activity levels than Westerners. But after adjusting for body size, their total daily energy expenditure was not dramatically higher. In plain English, more movement did not simply mean burning endless extra calories. The body adapts. So the ancient visitor may not look at your chair and say, "You burn too little energy." They may say something more precise. "Your movement has been separated from your needs. You can get food without walking far. You can speak without visiting. You can find a route without remembering landmarks. You can stay warm without gathering fuel. You can keep food without smoke, salt, drying, or cold weather. You can survive a day while barely touching the outside world." This is not weakness. It is outsourcing. Your society has moved many ancient skills out of the body and into systems. The next shock may come at lunch. You choose between more food options than many ancient people would see in a season. Sweetness, fat, salt, softness, and novelty appear together, cheaply and repeatedly. An ancient human would understand the attraction. The desire is not modern. The abundance is. In an uncertain food world, wanting energy-dense food makes sense. In a world where energy-dense food follows you in packages, signs, apps, and delivery bags, the same desire meets a very different environment. This is one of the modern traps they might recognize faster than we do. The problem is not that your instincts are broken. The problem is that your instincts are ancient, while your food environment is engineered. Later, the sun goes down. But your day does not end. Rooms glow, streets glow, screens glow, night becomes optional. Gregory Yetish and colleagues studied sleep in 3 pre-industrial societies and found that sleep was strongly tied to natural temperature and light-dark cycles. Though not in the simple way people sometimes imagine. People did not necessarily fall asleep at sunset. Their sleep was flexible, seasonal, and shaped by the environment. David Sampson and colleagues also found flexible sleep-wake patterns among the Hadza, reminding us that there is no single perfect prehistoric sleep schedule. Still, one thing would be obvious to the ancient visitor. Your night is full of artificial signals. The dark no longer tells everyone to slow down. The cold no longer pushes bodies closer. The fire is no longer the center of the evening. The group does not have to gather around one limited light source. Each person can carry a private little fire in the hand and stare into it alone. That may be the most confusing modern object of all. Not because the phone is advanced. Because it imitates the group. It brings voices without bodies, faces without smell, status without touch, warnings without visible danger, approval without a shared meal, conflict without a campfire. An ancient human would understand social attention. Humans have always watched one another carefully. Reputation, trust, anger, generosity, skill, and belonging mattered deeply in small groups. But your phone compresses social life into symbols that never stop arriving. To them, it might look like a campfire that never lets anyone rest. Now the reversal becomes clear. An ancient human would not simply think your life is easy. They would think your life is protected by astonishing systems, but also strangely disconnected from the signals those systems replaced. You do not have to read the sky to know the weather. You do not have to read tracks to know who passed nearby. You do not have to remember every path because a map remembers for you. You do not have to smell food as carefully because labels, dates, refrigeration, and supply chains reduce the risk. You do not have to gather around one fire because electricity gives every room its own sun. Modern life did not remove human needs. It changed where the work happens. Water still has to travel. Food still has to be found, grown, killed, stored, moved, and protected. Waste still has to go somewhere. Warmth still requires energy. Safety still depends on trust. Time still organizes bodies. Social belonging still matters. But now much of that work happens out of sight. This is why an ancient human might admire you and worry about you at the same time. They might admire your medicine, your clean water, your safe berth, your full shelves, your locked door, your ability to speak across distance, your light in the dark. They might also wonder why a person with so much protection can still feel rushed, hungry for attention, tired after sitting, lonely in a building full of people, and anxious while holding a device that contains thousands of human voices. They might not call your life soft. They might call it loud. Loud with signals your body did not evolve to sort so quickly. Loud with choices that never become final. Loud with food that asks to be eaten, clocks that ask to be obeyed, messages that ask to be answered, and lights that tell the brain the day is not over yet. The lesson is not that you should live like ancient people. You cannot step outside history and become a Paleolithic forager by walking barefoot or turning off your phone for an afternoon. Ancient life carried pain, danger, infant loss, infection, hunger, conflict, and uncertainty that no honest person should romanticize. Clean water is not a spiritual weakness. Dentistry is not a mistake. Refrigeration is not a moral failure. A locked door is a gift. But the ancient mirror does show something useful. Every convenience that protects you also hides a skill, a relationship, or a chain of labor. The tap hides water knowledge. The fridge hides seasonality and sharing. The clock hides sunlight. The map hides memory. The chair hides movement. The phone hides distance but creates a new kind of nearness. The locked room hides danger, but it can also hide loneliness. So what would ancient humans think of your daily life? They would probably be astonished first, then cautious, then curious. And perhaps, after watching you move through your day, they would understand that you are not less human than they were. You are human inside a different machine. Your ancestors carried their world in memory, muscle, attention, and relationship. You carry much of yours in wires, pipes, clocks, screens, roads, laws, and systems so large you may never see the people who keep them alive. That does not make your life fake. It makes it fragile in a different way. Tonight, when the small glowing object rests beside your bed, it may still wake you in the morning. But for a moment, before you sleep, you can notice what it has replaced. The fire, the group, the sky, the cold, the waiting birds, and the old human skill of waking inside a world you had to pay attention to.